guys. So we've got the fifth episode of Swamp Thing, which means, unfortunately, we're halfway through the series. Let's not try and think about that. Let's focus on the episode at hand. So I'd say the main plot line of this episode focuses on Abby, Maria, and Susie, who's possessed by a dark, twisted version of the ghost of Shauna, Abby's friend and real life, and not real life, but actual daughter of Maria Sunderland. And it seems that the ghost possessed Susie is trying to lure uh, Maria into the swamp to try and kill her and feed off of her pain, and Abby's trying to save her. There are other plot lines in this episode, of course. One focus on Avery trying to get Liz to back off on figuring out what happened to Alec Holland and other mysterious stuff happening in town that are connected to him. We see him actually do cheat on his wife Maria with Sheriff Cable. Speaking of Sheriff Cable, we see a little plot line of hers questioning someone who may have known what happened to Alec Holland. He seemed to suggest that Matt might have been the one to have killed Alec in the swamp, which ends with Sheriff Cable killing him. Just for once, I like to see a TV show that doesn't have corrupt cops, just one, but it was definitely a surprise when it happened. And the plot with Cassidy gets more mysterious. Seems to be stuck in Marai. Is that the name of the town? He seems to be stuck in town quite literally. With any attempt trying to leave, his body starts to catch on fire, blue fire, and it all seems to be part of some sort of deal that connects back to his role playing that one devil character from a movie that he was in back in LA. Not quite sure what the details or the background of the deal is yet, but with the way that this episode ended, chances are we're going to get a lot more focus on Cassidy, hopefully. And of course, there's Woodrue trying to figure out just what was the sample that Abby brought in that came from Swamp Thing / Alec Holland. And he seems to be convinced that this sample is part of an actual living creature that could hold a source of lots of treatments and cures for a whole bunch of other diseases that he wants to be associated with. So he's going to try and capture it with the support of Avery Sunderland. But of course, the biggest part of this episode that a lot of people are probably going to be talking about, the live action debut of the Phantom Stranger. Now, the Phantom Stranger, in case you don't know, he is one of the more famous supernatural characters from DC Comics. Usually portrayed in some sort of suit with a long cape and a hat, and he speaks in a very composed, mysterious, and assertive way. The version we got in Swamp Thing, he looks just more like someone you would expect to look like who lived in a swamp town. Definitely has a mysterious way of talking, but it's actually more kinder and gentler in tone. It was not what I was expecting, for sure. But in a strange way, it really works. I think one of the best adaptations of any source material, book, comic, etc., knows how to stay faithful to its source material while also doing its own thing to try and stand on its own. Now, I have no idea how people would react to this version of the Phantom Stranger. Personally, I haven't actually read any solo Phantom Stranger stories, and mainly just came across him in Swamp Thing stories, but I've always enjoyed him when he shows up. In this show, I really actually did really enjoying his portrayal in this show. And of course, we get the formal introduction of the Green, while also introducing one power that Swamp Thing can use through the Green, which actually does play a role in this episode. So, overall, this is arguably the best episode we've gotten yet of this show. Unfortunately, we only have 5 episodes left, and it will be interesting to see how this show ultimately ends up. How many cliffhangers will we end up with by the end of the 10th episode? Will there be any cliffhangers? Where will all these characters end up being? It'll be very interesting to see where everything goes, especially with how this episode ended. But I am very much still invested in this show, and Friday can't get here soon enough. that's all I have to say right now. Like, comment, subscribe, share, and I'll see you guys next time.